Entrepreneurs are in some ways immune to the notion of risk. I often liken entrepreneurship to sort of an incurable disease, or it's an affliction that certain people have, because when you have an idea for a business, no one's going to talk you out of it. If you're a true entrepreneur, you're just going to set about the business of doing it and bringing it to life. And Dollar Shave Club was no exception. I thought it was a great idea, and if I had stopped to do a lot of research and think too hard about what obstacles could get in my way, I might not have done it. "97% of Dollar Shave Club members love our razors so much they'd recommend us to a friend." But who are the other 3%? Good, moving on. Got it?
Let's try that.
Sweet. I'd spent my career in some form of advertising or marketing or brand development, funny stuff, and of course media. And at each stage I had the opportunity to hone my instincts and my skills. And and I'm still doing that today. So you look at some of the great brands out there in the world, like the Nikes of the world. What are they selling? They're selling the idea of winning. A Starbucks of the world, they're selling the idea of togetherness and productivity. When you look at Dollar Shave Club, what we're offering to our members are the best version of themselves, which is a really powerful idea.
The company is an extension of who he is and his worldview and the things he believes in.
He's very confident and has a very unique personality in how he approaches things, also how he sees the organization as well.
Michael, in one word, determined.
I would say my childhood was a pretty happy one.
One year when he was 7 or 8, he decided that he wanted to be a businessman as his Halloween costume. So we dressed him up. He had a briefcase and a pair of brown shoes and pants and a necktie. And, so I thought, well, I guess he'll grow up and he'll be a businessman.
My parents did a great job raising me. They were both the right amount of strict and lenient for me. They sort of knew who they were dealing with. My mother was always focused on making sure that our brains didn't go to waste. One example that we like to give her a hard time about is when we would have snow days, she would make us do math problems before we were allowed to go out and play in the snow because she didn't want our brains to rot.
They hated it. Michael, to this day, they make fun of me. You made us do school while the other kids were out playing. And I said, well, it didn't hurt you any, and he will agree that it probably was, it really instilled the whole idea that work and play are both important.
I don't think anybody would have called me a great student, per se.
If things interested him, he was a fabulous student. If it was a subject that didn't interest him at all, he was probably a terrible student.
I think that I was probably one of those kids that suffered from ADD but went undiagnosed.
He started out high school in the local public high school, and it wasn't the first time that reports were sent home that he was the class clown. That he's never going to amount to anything was one of the conferences that we went to.
And there was something when I moved from public school to private school that had a major impact on my development. And the rigor of the environment of private school for the 4 years that I went was really helpful to me. Raja, tell us, if Barack Obama can't win Pennsylvania...
Something happens when you bring together two very talented, competitive professionals.
Right after I graduated college in 2001. I can't remember the exact date, but sometime between 2001 and 2002, I started studying at Upright Citizens Brigade at night, studying improv comedy and sketch comedy shortly thereafter.
Accurate!
I've always been a passionate student of comedy and writing, and I still am today. I think there's a lot about studying improv that can help you in business, absolutely. Just the ability to tease out of thin air the most important ideas and the most resonant ideas in any setting is something that you hone in improv, and you don't have a lot of time to do it. The Page program at NBC is really special because they take kids right out of college that are really excited about media and entertainment and put them to work at the front lines of the business. It was just such a special job. I think after this job as CEO of Dollar Shave Club, my paid ship was probably my second favorite job, or my most favorite job.
I've known Mike for 7 or 8 years now. He was living in New York, and then he had some friends out here and ultimately decided that he wanted to move to Los Angeles.
I think one of the biggest risks that I've taken was making the move to Los Angeles to begin a new life out here. I didn't really have a deep professional network. I had a few friends from high school and college that were out here already, but for the most part my network was on the East Coast, so it was a major chance, a major risk for me.
When I first met him, he was the exact same guy, just with a lot less money.
I started Dollar Shave Club in 2011.
My basement has a corner of what I call the failed business corner. And we have a number of things that we have bought and he made me invest in that he thought would be very successful businesses, which obviously they weren't the one.
I think that he probably had a number of relatively harebrained ideas that he was talking to me about, you know, in the same era. There were a hell of a lot more people that told him that this was a foolish idea, that he should quit, that he shouldn't waste his time or money. He has no expertise in the razor business, which is, you know, at the beginning was absolutely true, but he really trusted his instincts.
The signature frustration, I think, with razors is the price. I think the next most frustrating thing is the experience of buying them in the store where they're locked behind the razor fortress, where you have to find the person with the key, they're always doing something else, and then you have to get in line and wait.
Why do you need to get in the case so bad?
So I can buy some razors?
Selling razors online direct to the consumer eliminates those 2 or 3 major frustrations. So for me, there was never any other way to do it. I met my friend's wife's father at a cocktail party who serendipitously happened to have some extra razors from an old deal that never got done in his warehouse. So then he and I set about the business of launching the beta version of Dollar Shave Club.
Just the fact that we are DSC was a risk. There wasn't any company out there like us, and he definitely took a leap for us to get where we are today.
He decided to go up against, in creating this men's grooming brand, one of the largest and most dominant consumer packaged goods companies ever. Gillette, owned by Procter & Gamble, legendary, incredible company that knows how to build and maintain brands. And Michael fearlessly said, I can challenge them. And not only that, he had ambitions to be incredibly successful in becoming perhaps just as big and even more dominant than they are.
I think what DSC did very early with its original launch video that went viral and was a major, you know, put us on the map moment. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. We were really good at telling the story of why we exist and why the customer should take a chance on us. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. We told our story very straightforward to the customer, but what you got out of that, the implication and the way that we did that and the forum that we chose to tell it in, which was YouTube and on the website and not on television or on radio to launch or in the store at retail, was that we're a company that you can trust, and trust is everything when it comes to you know, building a brand.
I found out about Dollar Shave Club the same way everyone else did. I saw the video on the day it was released, just by scrolling through my Twitter streams. It was everywhere.
And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades?
And it kind of broke the internet, right? I mean, like, everyone was talking about this video.
It does tell you the power of the internet and the power of connecting with the consumer. He got 12,000 subscribers in the first day he was online. Wow. And now he has had over 10 million hits. He's off now with new products. And
I thought that that video was irreverent, and when I saw that it said,
your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, pop up!
You know, it was like, oh my God, you know, what's gonna happen with this? So what did I know?
His whole philosophy behind it was, I'm gonna load up this really funny video that I spent almost all of my money on, and it's gonna go viral. And I said, okay, like, how do you make something go viral? He's like, trust me.
The impact was felt pretty immediately. We launched the video around 6:30 a.m. Pacific time on March 6th, and the site had crashed, you know, within 30 minutes from too much traffic. That moment where the site crashed and we ran out of inventory was a terrifying one because you don't know if you're going to be able to get the site back up and the demand will still be there. Fortunately, we made a couple decisions early on to tell people to be patient, and we've been overwhelmed by the response, but we're working quickly to get stocks back up and be patient, and thankfully people were so, especially those early adopters, were really excited about what we were doing and what we were building, that they were willing to stick it out. We began a conversation with Unilever in early 2016. It snowballed into a conversation about a partnership and an acquisition.
Hi, oh, you want to buy into my company? $400 million? No, I'm sorry, that won't be enough.
Holy shit. $1 billion.
Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you.
Humor is a really great device to make something memorable, because when you evoke a visceral reaction from somebody, that's memorable. I wrote the video myself. It took me about a month to write, picking it up, putting it back down, re-examining it, and then I worked with Lucia, who was my friend from improv. She was also director.
Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
Then we shot it in one day.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay.
That first launch video was our first advertisement, in effect. It was the building blocks of what ultimately became our advertising strategy.
People ask me, Mike, when are you going to do video number 2?
Our tone of voice and our style.
I'm executive now. I have papers to sign.
He's always the funniest person in any situation, with very few exceptions. He just fires nonstop. So, not everything's a home run, but he's really funny all the time.
You're leaving buried treasure behind.
I would actually describe it as a little quirky. The person you see in the commercials, I feel like, is definitely the person that I interact with on a day-to-day basis.
A lot of people asked me, what was Michael like in board meetings? Was he funny? Did he stand up and tell jokes all day long? And the answer was like an unequivocal no. Like, he's a serious-minded person. He happens to be really funny on camera, and I think he has a great sense of humor, obviously in his writing. But in the boardroom and at work, he's serious.
I think one of the keys to being successful in a business is knowing what you don't know. And Michael knew that he didn't know everything.
Luck absolutely factors into it, and any entrepreneur that tells you that they didn't get a little lucky or a lot lucky in some way is not being truthful probably with you. But ultimately, talent is everything. Talent builds the website. Talent builds the product. They do everything. They write the television commercials.
He wasn't narcissistic and, thinking this is my baby and only I can do it. He knew that he needed help, and he found the people that could help him.
Anybody that has had to raise money for a business, whether it's from friends and family or from venture capital or private equity, knows that that's a very stressful, challenging endeavor.
40 million in revenues. I mean, they've come a long way from that great YouTube video he did.
Almost 2 million subscribers. Dollar Shave Club managed to raise more than 160 million in private fundraising. After launching in 2011, they were first seeded with $1 million by leading venture capital firms in Silicon Valley.
I did some research on the company, found out that I knew some of the seed investors, and emailed Peter Pham at Science and asked for an introduction to Michael. I was on a plane the next week, sat down with Michael, and got to know the team.
It's better to raise money from people that have experience in businesses or with businesses that you're in yourself, because they can funnel expertise and talent and other things to you that can be very helpful. And so you're always looking for the smart money, so to speak.
This was not an easy company to finance. A bunch of people passed, and some didn't even take the meeting. And the Series B round, we didn't get any leads for. So I stepped up with Ben Rock to lead the round because no one else would. The question was, would we be able to finance it? Would we be able to convince new investors to put money into this company, because we were going to need more cash? That was really the big risk.
Well, last time you joined us, the revenues were growing. Profit, though, unclear. Are you turning a profit?
We're close.
Close to turning profit.
Yep.
The numbers told an incredible story. 7 million in revenue the first year. It was only live for 6 months. 20 million in revenue the second year. It was a rocket ship with amazingly low churn rates, high loyalty, and consumer love for the brand was off the charts. It became easier as time went on to finance the company, but this was never a sure thing. This was never like, boy, we're rolling in dough.
Once your investors have written a check, they have an interest in helping you find the things that you need and helping you solve your challenges. When we were looking to open up our fulfillment centers, nobody at our executive level or even at our company had ever opened up a fulfillment center before. And so we picked up the phone and we called one of our biggest investors and one of our advisors, both who had experience with Netflix, and asked, hey, do you know anybody that might be able to help us?
I think what makes Michael brave is that he's not easily shaken. I've been in all kinds of scenarios with him, and he's the same. He's confident. He doesn't show, if he's shaken, he doesn't show it, absolutely not.
I think one thing that you think is going to be easier than it ends up being is starting and growing and scaling a company. You begin something small and you don't yet know how much there is for you to do and what is going to come down the path and how you need to be reactive and what you need to anticipate, and that always ends up being harder than you think. When we started the business, we were focused on solving one very specific problem as it relates to the razor market. Of course, at that time, we thought to ourselves we would sell other products, especially related to the shave category. If you're going to sell somebody a razor, of course you would want to sell them something that they can use either before, during, or after their shave. So that was always part of the plan. The broader vision for helping guys become the best version of themselves by helping them take care of their minds and body has been an evolution.
Comes to 1965.
What? That's a lot.
Yeah, I don't.
The unconventional, humorous marketing efforts, along with the well-positioned products, are almost directly a result of Dubin himself.
Comes with a free gift.
Oh, free gift?
I think
that's cool.
He understands the core of people and who they are and what drives them, what excites them.
I think what makes Michael a genius at marketing is his love for the creativity behind it.
Tired of getting beat up by high razor prices?
It's not just about the business, it's not about the numbers, it's about how are people going to experience the product or the project that he's working on, and he's all about the end experience.
There's a typical path that big competitors follow when they're challenged by upstarts. We were dismissed early on as inconsequential in the market. We were ridiculed for thinking that we could ship razor that would be liked by consumers. We were eventually sued, and then we were copied. So the exact same predictable responses happened. I think we knew that with success would come competitive reactions.
The world's biggest razor manufacturer is suing startup rival Dollar Shave Club. Gillette's suit is over alleged use of its patented technology. Gillette's market share has apparently been slipping.
Unilever went shopping today at opposite ends of the grocery store aisle. The Dutch consumer products company is buying premium ice cream maker Ben & Jerry's as well as Slim Fast Foods.
Just last week, Unilever buying the Sara Lee unit. The stock is the best performer in the S&P 500 today.
Alberta Culver shares rise 20% after Unilever announced it's adding the maker of Tresemme and VO5 hair care products to its quiver of consumer goods.
We began a conversation with Unilever in early 2016 about an advisory relationship, and it snowballed into a conversation about a partnership and an acquisition. And that opportunity was so attractive for us that we couldn't say no.
Why would a company like Unilever pay $1 billion for Dollar Shave Club?
That young guy who's founded it must be very happy.
Absolutely.
Today.
Last round, $500 million, get $1 billion from Unilever.
When it was announced, it was holy shit. You know, $1 billion. The number of companies that are sold that have started in that short period of time for that amount of money. I mean, the list is, very small.
Michael says to me, this is how the conversation went, Mom. Hi, oh, you want to buy into my company? Okay, how much? $400 million? No, I'm sorry, that won't be enough. And that's what happened first. And he did that for me, $500 million, and and then he put on and said, $500 million.
When Unilever announced that it was paying $1 billion for Dollar Shave Club, it raised a lot of eyebrows on Wall Street. 5 times sales for a small and growing company sounded a little rich. But what Unilever is getting for $1 billion is an incredible brand loyalty, a company that's grown to 3.2 million subscribers in about 5 years or so.
My first reaction to the Unilever acquisition was, whoa. But after learning a lot more about Unilever, their values and their culture and what they have in store, it made complete sense.
It's a very good business. E-commerce really taking off in the US, subscription models being very attractive. They are clearly the standard in the industry with good quality products. So we're happy to work together.
We were at a point in our business where we were thinking about the next chapter, and the next chapter involves a few really critical things. One, more of my time, and the less time that I can spend out on the road raising money from the private capital markets, the more time I can spend running the business and doing the things that I really love to do and the things that I'm really great at. And then the other thing is access to international markets. If we want to find out what people are using grooming-wise in India or in Pakistan or Brazil, that information is one call away. And then of course there's all kinds of other synergies that you would expect from bringing two companies that are in similar spaces together. But we're run as an independent company.
He did a bunch of reference checking, talking to CEOs of companies who had sold to Unilever. And the stories he heard was, you still get tons of authority, in fact, even more resources and therefore more expectations that you can deliver. So I don't think Michael had this concern of like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna lose my baby. There may come a time where he decides he wants to do something else, but the team is so super strong there that he would want to make himself not super integral to the lifelong future of the business. But I don't think that's on his mind right now. I think he's pretty darn happy.
So I think 5 years from now, we would love for Dollar Shave Club to sit on the shelf next to the great historic brands of the world, the Nikes, the Starbucks, the Apples, etc. And myself personally, hard to say.
From day one, from the day one when he knew this was a success, he said, this is not what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. He's too interested in too many things that he doesn't know what those things are yet.
I wouldn't call it a difficult journey. I don't think that for him there's difficult and easy. There's just the thing that keeps him curious.
My curiosity is one of the biggest motivating factors for me. Some people are motivated by money, which is okay. Some people are motivated by ambition, and that's okay. And I think that for me, it's about constantly demystifying the world and learning. You know, I'm really curious about the way things get done. I think that if you make that commitment to indulging in your curiosities and just learning more and more and more, you'll be successful. I loved Neil Diamond. I still love Neil Diamond, but I don't know that I wanted to be Neil Diamond. Well, I don't think there's a funnier comedian or more insightful comedian out there working today than Louis C.K. Favorite cocktail is a Negroni. Best piece of advice I've ever been given is hire a great team. Most of the time I follow my gut. A 1982 Buick Electra station wagon with the wood paneling. There's nothing quite so relaxing as a really good Qigong foot massage. Be grateful for what you have. I don't spend a lot of time on Twitter. Meditation. Bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich. Fargo. I can create parking spaces where there are no parking spaces. Was dark money. I wish I worried a little bit less. About 10 minutes before this interview started, in a meeting. Be a businessman.
I read something that you wanted to be Neil Diamond.
I love Neil Diamond. I still love Neil Diamond, but I don't know that I wanted to be Neil Diamond. Well, certainly Neil Diamond.